Sports cards, stocks, crypto, real estate. What is the play today in this wild economic environment? Let's dig in. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. We are almost to the National. It is National Week. I'm excited to get there. I'll be there Thursday. Hopefully we get a chance to meet. If you're new here, please hit that big red button, the subscribe button down below, and connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad and Twitter, the SportsCardDad. Today's video was inspired by a comment that I got on yesterday's video, a recent video, and it was from Canton Card Collector, and he says, there's just too much buying opportunities in the stock market right now to be spending on high-end cards. Time to double down on blue chip stocks. This is definitely something that my wife and I have been talking to for months, trying to figure out where do we put our resources. It is such a weird economic environment right now. It's a little bit stagnant. Things are a little bit down. Some things are a little bit up, but then going back down, it's just kind of a weird time. You've got interest rates that are moving north, and you've got inflation that's not really subsiding as far as the CPI reports go. So we have to figure this out. And so I took a look at just some of the historical charts for each of these things. And I just wanted to kind of talk through it. So the Dow Jones for stocks hit a high of right at about 36,000 and now sits right around 31,000. So if we go back to Canton Card Collector's comment, he's seeing value in some of these blue chip, probably some of these big S&P 500 type companies. Prices are a little bit down from where they were previously. So he sees opportunity there. I like the thinking for sure, but when I look at the 10-year chart, to me, the Dow as a whole, it still feels like it's a little bit on the high side. Obviously, nobody can see the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But look, just 10 years ago, things were greatly different. And so while we are putting money into stocks, etc., through 401ks or our retirement accounts, I'm not necessarily jumping into individual stocks right at this point. That could change in the future, but as it sits right now, I'm just kind of sitting pat on that stuff and just kind of doing the usual retirement type stuff. Through real estate, are there opportunities in the real estate market? This can be kind of tricky because it depends on exactly what you're trying to do in the real estate market. If you're trying to buy rental properties, if you're buying a primary residence, there's so many different strategies with this, and it depends on a lot of different factors. Obviously, the interest rates have gone up pretty dramatically for mortgage rates. It used to be 2.53% at its lowest, and now we're sitting at 5.5%, 6%. And most likely the Fed is going to raise rates again based on the latest inflation report, CPI report. And so mortgage rates could still be moving north. Overall pricing has not really been that affected yet. In part, I think because there's a real estate supply issue in many parts of the U.S. where people really, really want to live. And so you've got that supply-demand thing going on. But at the same time, I think, too, there's people that are rushing in to buy as well because they're concerned that what if mortgage rates just keep on going up and then you can't get into a house? Check the average payment. If you look at 3% compared to 5% compared to 8% for the mortgage, it goes up dramatically as far as your monthly payment. And then when you tack on taxes and homeowners insurance and possibly PMI as well, that payment starts shooting up. So that is really something to take into account. Now, if we go back to the 1980, 1981, I tell the story of my parents. They bought their first house in 1981 and the mortgage rate was 18%. 18%. And so we've been actually pretty spoiled having mortgage rates in that 2-3% range for so long. The total crypto market cap has gone down dramatically in 2022. If you look at this chart that I pulled up, 2013, pretty much a dead market, very, very low transactions, pretty much zero. And then 2018, you see kind of that little hill, that spike that happened in 2018, some more interest around it. And then, of course, January 2021, a massive, massive bump. And doesn't that sound kind of familiar to my sports card friends? January 2021, a massive bump. Crypto also had a massive bump in 2021 and, of course, has retraced back since then. Could that have anything to do with trillions of dollars entering the economy? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. If we're looking at sports cards, of course, there's so much variety. So just to kind of pick a basket that I could find here, the CL50 card ladder has done a CL50, which essentially is 50 of the most important cards in the hobby that they've picked out. Now, you could argue that there's other cards that should be in here, but they've worked to kind of pick common vintage cards that folks can agree on are important cards in the hobby. There's vintage, there's some modern, etc., kind of all mixed in there. From 2004 to 2016, not really much going on. And then in 2016, that's when the march really started moving for cards. Kind of a slow and steady. And then we hit 2020 and the rocket ship took off. And then, of course, January 2021, it went to Mars. And then reached Mars, found aliens. They were not friendly, and it came crashing back down to Earth. And that's where our pricing is now.
Sometimes I think I'm just wasting my breath.
Now, for a lot of these cards, as far as the CL50 is concerned, we are back down to really pre-pandemic pricing. And so where do we go from here? I mean, this is kind of the big question for a lot of this stuff. And it's what everybody is trying to figure out. It's, you have all these macroeconomic things going on, but it doesn't necessarily mean that markets just move as these types of things happen, or everybody would know what to do, etc. This is a very interesting point, I think. Are we going to go into recession? Are we going into kind of a deep recession and we see maybe some of this pricing continue to move downward? Or do we see a kind of a small spike, a rebound, maybe towards the end of the year? We get some good news. We've got some elections going on. We've got different things happening. Maybe there's a little bit of a spike that comes out of it. Maybe it's a big spike. Hey, maybe it's rocket ship back. I don't know. But I think the one thing that all of us have to just get used to is not double, triple, quadruple our money all the time. Can it happen? Yeah, it can happen for certain things. But there's been such an expectation of this stuff happening all the time because we've seen just insane spikes in a lot of these different areas. And I think that we just need to have, expectations that are more in line with historical numbers. And for my family, we're just trying to diversify across all of these things. So that's really what it boils down to for us. I think can't really figure out which one is the best one. Just trying to pick our spots within each sector and hoping for the best. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What's your strategy? Are you just kind of sitting on your hands, sitting pat, just kind of waiting to see what happens with a lot of this stuff? Or are you aggressively buying, whether it be sports cards or crypto or whatever it is? Or getting completely out of all this stuff and you're just going to go live on an island somewhere and that's it. Hey, all that works. It all works. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.